Hello and welcome back to Doctor Who Season Review, and today we'll be reviewing Series 12, Jodie Whittaker's second full series. First up, we got Spyfall Part 1. Now for me, this is a decent start to Series 12. I like the Kavavans, I like some aspects of C, played by Stephen Fry, who got assassinated like about 5 minutes in. But apart from that, it's fine. Jodie Whittaker is fully, for me, the Doctor now. Her performance in this is absolutely amazing. She's finally started to put more effort into her acting, and she's starting to feel like more like the Doctor now. Like I said, like in the previous episode, by the end of Series 11, she did start to feel like the Doctor, and now she's fully now by this episode, she fully is the Doctor now. Yeah. The companions, they're pretty decent in this episode. Ryan, still kind of boring. Yaz is getting there now. Graham, he's just comic relief now, but he's fine. Next, we got Spyfall Part 2. Now for me, this episode was pretty underwhelming. Sacha Dhawan as the Master is fantastic. Ada Lovelace, she's fine, I guess. We'll come back to her later with a future episode in the series. The Kavavans, they were really nothing. The whole story itself was fine, but at least Jodie Whittaker was still an improvement of the story. For me, Spyfall was just fine. Next we got Orphan 55. Just shit. Next we got Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. Another a good pure historical. A brilliant episode. Really like this one. It's very good for. I actually really like this one. I think Nikola Tesla is fantastic in this episode. His associate, she was pretty cool. Now Thomas Edison, he's okay. He's a bit of a, one of those things. Now for me, the story itself was very appealing. I did like the story, and I did like the villain to a certain degree. Jodie Whittaker is still on form with this episode, and she's keeping up with the pace. And her acting is actually kind of good, actually. Overall, this episode's fine. Next, we've got Fugitive of the Juddon. I like Ruth. I like the Juddon. The shocker that Ruth was the Doctor. I was shocked, but I was also intrigued as to how this happened, and how this Doctor that Whittaker's just met doesn't even know that she knows she exists. I was really intrigued in the story and the story arc of the series and the arc of the series. For me, Fugitive of the Juddon was a standout episode. It was brilliant. Joe Martin was excellent as the Ruth Doctor, and Jodie Whittaker is still brilliant in this episode. The companions, they were alright for me. Yaz gets more things to do. Ryan is just there because, there. Graham is comic relief, but he's doing a good job as usual, and overall it's fine. Next we got Praxeus. Dull, just very dull. If you're expecting Autons or Sea Devils or Silurians, no, you didn't get anything with this episode. You got Doctor Who in this episode ripped off Hitchcock, Hitchcock's Birds, by using birds as evil. Then the story turned out to be that it was a woman who was trying to save the planet, but decided to kill everybody else because wanted to make her planet her own. And it's kind of a dumb plot. For me, it's kind of a real dumb plot. The Doctor's good in this. Yaz just goes off for some strange reason and doesn't get killed. Ryan doesn't do anything apart from opening a bird, which is disturbing. Graham doesn't do anything. Well, he sits next to Jake and talk about his husband. That's all. Basically, in this episode, Graham gives just advice on marriage. That's all he does. Apart from that, this episode was fine for me, I guess. It was dull, Very boring and tedious, but not shit. Next we got Can You Hear Me? Boring. This episode was really boring. The villains were dumb. Zelen was kind of better than the other one, who didn't really do much. The secondary characters were awful, apart from that girl from, you know, that country. I can't remember what it's called. But she was fine. The TARDIS team itself was decent this time. And the Doctor was still good. Overall, this episode for me was just crap. Next we got The Haunting of Villa Diodati. Brilliant episode. Brilliantly acted. Brilliantly paced. The Lone Cyberman was excellent, which is a callback to Fugitive with Captain Jack Harkness. And overall, the story for me was just very, very good. I really had a lot of fun with Jodie Whittaker's performance in this episode, and I like the Byrons, and I like, you know, all this stuff, and it's very, very it's very cool. Now, speaking of Byron, he is the father of Ada Lovelace, which the Doctor met in episode 2 of series, in part 2 of Spyfall, and which is very convenient at some points, I guess. Overall, the story for me was decent, and I liked all the characters, and the stakes feel very high, and yeah, pretty good. Next we got Ascension of the Cybermen. This one for me was fine. I like the Cybermen. I like the Doctor. I kind of like the secondary characters this time around better than Can You Hear Me? Standalone characters. For me, the episode was fine. Graham, Yaz, and Ryan were fine. All of it was fine. The cliffhanger with the Master turning up from the boundary was pretty decent, I guess. And overall for me, Ascension of the Cybermen was a decent episode in comparison to Can You Hear Me? Yeah, this episode was fine. And finally, we have the controversial finale to Series 12. We have The Timeless Children. Now, what about my views on The Timeless Child? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. First, Sacha Dhawan. Mwah! Prince of Bel-Air. He's fantastic as the Master. I just want to see more episodes with him. Jodie Whittaker for me in this episode. She gave her best performance yet. She's fantastic in this episode. Ryan, yeah, still boring. He didn't do anything for me. Yaz was a step up throughout Series 12. I know I didn't mention any of it before, but I think Graham's fine in this. He's okay. He has a great idea, but you know, it just turns into comedy at the end, and it's just pretty decent. Now, the controversial bit. What do I think of the idea of the Timeless Child? Personally, this is my own opinion, I don't hate the idea that the Doctor is the Timeless Child. Really, I don't. To me, it seems to me like it's a really, really good idea, and it was a really compelling story, and it's good that it links back to the Ghost Monument, which I still think is shit, but you know, it's good that it links back to the Ghost Monument. Now, do I think it should have happened? No, maybe not. But I'm not complaining. I don't hate it. I don't hate Chris Chibnall. I don't hate Jodie Whittaker. Don't listen to those hate channels. They don't know what they're talking about. For me, it was just right. Now, was it a good finale? Yeah, I think it was great. Now, so personally, overall, what do I think of the Timeless Child? I think the Timeless Child was good. I think it was a good story arc. Didn't do any damage to the series or the canon as a whole, to be honest. And I don't mind the Doctor being the Timeless Child. Well, if you don't like that, it's your choice. Whether or not you like it or not, it's happened and you can't change it because you're not the BBC. Overall, Series 12 for me was a definite improvement over Series 11. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, you can click here to see a playlist of seasons 1 to 31, and you can subscribe to my channel up here. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.